October 24th, 79 AD, 1 p.m., the ground trembles. Mount Vesuvius explodes with the force of 100 atomic bombs. In 25 hours, 2 entire cities will vanish. 16,000 people have less than a day to live. This is their story, minute by minute. That morning, Pompeii was paradise. 20,000 Romans went about their day in one of the empire's wealthiest resort towns. Merchants sold garum fish sauce. Bakers prepared bread. Gladiators trained for upcoming games. Nobody noticed the warning signs. But the mountain had been screaming for days. Minor earthquakes rattled the city throughout the week. Springs and wells dried up mysteriously. Animals fled toward Naples. The Romans ignored it all. Earthquakes were common here. They'd survived worse in 62 AD. 1 p.m. Without warning, Vesuvius explodes. A column of superheated gas, ash and rock rockets 20 miles into the stratosphere at 1,500 miles per hour. The sound is deafening, heard in cities 100 miles away. The nightmare has begun. Panic erupts instantly. The forum empties as thousands flee toward the city gates. But where do you run? South toward the harbor? North toward Naples? The prevailing wind makes the choice for them. It's blowing southeast, directly over Pompeii. 2 p.m., 1 hour in, white pumice stones rain down like hail, thousands per minute. They're light, porous, but deadly in numbers. The accumulation begins at 2 inches per hour. People tie pillows to their heads with cloth. Some make it to the gates, others shelter in place. Here's the cruel math. Those who stayed died. Those who left immediately might have survived. But how could they know? Every instinct says shelter indoors during a disaster. Families huddled in their homes as pumice buried the streets. They were sealing their own tombs. 4 p.m., 3 hours of eruption. The ash column blocks out the sun completely. Pompeii is plunged into total darkness. Darker than any night. People light torches and oil lamps. But visibility is near zero. The temperature drops. Toxic gases seep through the streets. At the harbor, hundreds crowd the docks desperate for ships. But the sea has retreated, a tsunami effect from the eruption. Boats sit grounded in mud. Some wealthy Romans order their slaves to carry them in litters toward Naples. Most will never make it. 6 p.m., 5 hours in. Pumice now stands 3 feet deep on rooftops. The weight is catastrophic, 500 pounds per square yard. Roof tiles crack and splinter. One by one, roofs cave in across the city, crushing everyone inside. The sound echoes through the darkness. In the gladiator barracks, 18 fighters faced a final battle they couldn't win. Chained in their cells, they couldn't escape. Archaeologists would later find their skeletons still shackled. Trained killers helpless against nature's fury. One wore his fighter's helmet to the end. By 8 p.m., Pompeii is buried under 6 feet of pumice. In Naples, 20 miles away, Pliny the Younger watches in horror from across the bay. He's documenting everything. His letters will become the only eyewitness account. His uncle, Pliny the Elder, is about to make a fatal mistake. Pliny the Elder, admiral of the Roman fleet and history's greatest naturalist, orders ships toward Pompeii, not to flee but to rescue friends. His scientific curiosity overrides his survival instinct. He sails directly into disaster, documenting volcanic phenomena, even as pumice rains on his deck. 10 p.m. The white pumice stops, a brief deadly silence, then grey pumice begins, denser, heavier, faster. It's from deeper in the volcano, containing more lithic fragments. The burial rate doubles, 9 hours in, and Pompeii has vanished under 9 feet of volcanic debris. Midnight. Incredibly, some still survive, trapped in second-story rooms, air pockets, reinforced structures. They hear the eruption weakening slightly. Hope flickers. Maybe it's ending. They couldn't be more wrong. The deadliest phase is about to begin. 1 a.m., 12 hours after it started, the eruption column finally collapses under its own weight. This is the moment. Everything that went up is about to come down as a pyroclastic surge, a ground-hugging avalanche of gas and rock at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, moving at 100 miles per hour. The first surge hits Herculaneum, Pompeii's sister city, 4 miles closer to the volcano. In seconds, 300 people huddled in boat chambers by the beach are killed instantly by thermal shock. their brains literally boiled, their bodies will be perfectly preserved, frozen mid-movement. 1:30 a.m. The surge reaches Pompeii. It flows over the city walls like water over a dam. 450-degree gas penetrates every building, every room, every hiding place. Death is instantaneous. Lungs seared, muscles contract violently, bodies freeze in their final poses. In the Garden of the Fugitives, archaeologists would find 13 bodies, a family that almost escaped. They made it to the city's edge before the surge caught them. A mother shields her child. Adults clutch each other. The volcanic ash preserved their final embrace for 2,000 years. 20 miles away in Stabia, Pliny the Elder collapses on the beach, overcome by toxic fumes. His slaves beg him to flee. He tries to stand but falls. The greatest mind in Rome dies documenting the disaster that killed him. His body would be found days later, looking like he was sleeping. 2 a.m. A second, more powerful surge buries Pompeii under an additional 6 feet of ash and debris. This one is cooler but faster, 180 miles per hour. It erases the city completely. From above, Pompeii no longer exists, just a flat grey plain where civilization stood hours before. 2 a.m. A second, more powerful surge buries Pompeii under an additional 6 feet of ash and debris. This one is cooler but faster, 180 miles per hour. It erases the city completely. From above, Pompeii no longer exists, just a flat grey plain where civilization stood hours before. Dawn breaks on October 25th. 20 hours of terror finally end. Vesuvius falls silent, but the sun doesn't rise. The ash cloud blocks it for days. Refugees in Naples look back toward Pompeii and see nothing. 2 cities and 16,000 people have vanished without a trace. Survivors stumble through the darkness covered in ash like ghosts. Some return to where their homes stood, digging frantically for family members, but the ash is 20 feet deep and hard as concrete. Emperor Titus declares it a disaster zone. Looters are executed on site. Within a generation, Pompeii's exact location is forgotten. The ash plain is reclaimed by nature, vineyards and farms. For 1,500 years, one of history's greatest tragedies sleeps beneath Italian farmland, until 1748, when a farmer's shovel hits something unexpected. The excavation of Pompeii begins. Workers uncover a city frozen in time, bread still in ovens, wine in cups, graffiti on walls, political campaign posters, a surgeon's tools, erotic frescoes, every detail of Roman life perfectly preserved under volcanic glass. In 1863, archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli makes a breakthrough. The bodies decomposed, leaving perfect voids in the hardened ash. He pours plaster into the cavities. What emerges are the victims themselves, their expressions, their clothing, their final moments preserved in excruciating detail. They found a guard dog, still chained to his post, twisted in agony, trying to escape his collar. The family that left him behind perished anyway. A gladiator's helmet, a pregnant woman, a child clutching a small bronze statue. Each cast tells a story that ended that day in 79 AD. Today, CT scans reveal even more. We can see their last meals, their ages, their dental health. One victim clutched a bag of coins, his life savings. Another wore a signet ring, identifying him as a city magistrate. Technology gives them their identities back, 2,000 years later. The walls speak too. Success the weaver loves Iris the waitress. She doesn't care. I screwed the barmaid. Marcus is a thief. These weren't ancient Romans, they were people. Funny, petty, romantic, vulgar, human, just like us. Even their vices survived. The Lupanar brothel preserved erotic frescoes showing various positions. Roman Kama Sutra, graffiti rates the workers. Athenias, 2 arses. The building had 7 rooms and a stone bed in each. Business was clearly good in Pompeii. Here's what haunts historians. They had warnings, earthquake swarms, animal behavior, well water anomalies, but they had no vocabulary for volcano. The word didn't exist yet. Vesuvius would give it to them. In Latin, Vulcan was the god of fire. Now we call his mountains volcanoes. Vesuvius hasn't erupted since 1944. But it's not extinct, it's sleeping. 3 million people now live in the red zone. Modern Naples sprawls up its slopes. Scientists monitor it constantly. When it wakes up again, not if, when it could be Pompeii times 20. We've learned nothing. Millions live on active volcanoes worldwide. Seattle under Mount Rainier, Tokyo near Mount Fuji, Portland under Mount Hood. We build closer and closer, forgetting that mountains have long memories and human civilization is brief. But Pompeii taught us how to read volcanoes. Every warning sign the Romans missed, we now monitor. Seismographs detect earthquake swarms. Gas sensors measure sulfur dioxide. Ground deformation satellites watch mountains swell. We've turned their tragedy into our early warning system. Pompeii remains the most perfectly preserved Roman city ever found. 66 hectares excavated, with a third still buried. Every dig reveals more. A fast food restaurant with 2,000-year-old food residue. A fresco of pizza's ancestor. A slave room with 3 beds. Life interrupted. In the house of the tragic poet, they found a mosaic at the entrance. Cave Canem. Beware of dog. The dog died chained inside. The mosaic survived. It's now one of the most famous warnings in history. Not about the dog, but about the volcano behind it. We know some by name now. Amarantus the merchant, Visonius Primus the politician, Julia Felix who rented apartments. The young couple who died in their bedroom embraced 2,000 years gone, and we can still see them reaching for each other as death arrived. Over 100 children died in Pompeii. We found them in gardens, doorways, their parents' arms, some clutched toys. One had a silver bracelet with her name Secunda. She was someone's second daughter. She was 8 years old. She had a whole life ahead of her. What did they think about in those final seconds? Their children, their gods, their regrets, the wealthy merchant who stayed to protect his gold, the mother who couldn't carry both children, the slave who couldn't break his chains. We'll never know, but we can honor them by remembering. October 24th, 79 AD, the day that destroyed Pompeii. But it also preserved it, a gift to the future from the past. Every victim a teacher, every artifact a lesson. They lost their lives, but gave us understanding. Their tragedy became our wisdom, and 2,000 years later, we're still listening. Subscribe for more ancient history documentaries. Their stories deserve to be told.